Very honored, however, to be announcing and introducing the Geek Girls tonight. First, I'd like to mention iBottles, our client that's presenting their glass frames over there. This is a pair of them. I love this. Woo! Gift bags are provided by Art House. Make sure to grab one of those on your way out. And food is provided by Cowgirls Killer Catering. First Clockwork Shop. Thank you very much for coming. We're very happy with this new thing we're doing. And without further ado, I will introduce the Geek Girls, Nancy Lyons and Megan Wilker.
Talk tonight about social media 101. So it's an introduction to social media. We've been talking about this for far too long. And in fact, Megan and I are sort of sick of it. I got to be honest with you. You're like, so yay! Yeah. Yeah, there's an awesome setup. But I think, you know, the conversation is getting louder and louder, but people are still confused. So just because people are talking about it a lot doesn't mean that we have all the answers. And we want to acknowledge that confusion and just a little bit to, you know, provide a few insights that people might be able to use.
So the goal is, even if at the end of all this you think it's still useless, that's fine. At least you'll know what you're rejecting. So just in thinking about how to define social media, the way that we define it are all of these different sites and apps, and this is only scratching the surface, that allow us to connect, have conversations, and share content with one another. And there's a whole bunch of different ways that we do this. And when we're talking to organizations and businesses about this, I do like to point out that there is one big thing missing from this equation, and that is selling things or buying things. Generally speaking, that is not the reason that drives us to the social network. We're there to connect with other people, talk to other people, and share content and stuff with other people. That's not to say that there is not a place for business in that conversation. It just has to be relevant, and it has to fit into the conversation. But a lot of people use this analogy of social networks and Twitter as a cocktail party, and I think it's an overused but very effective analogy. If you think of sort of interacting at a cocktail party, you would not ever just walk into a bunch of random people and start trying to sell something. You sort of scope out the room, you listen for the conversations that you think might be relevant to you, and then you have a conversation. And if through the course of talking to those people it's apparent that they need something that you have to offer, you can do so. But it's not interrupting sort of the flow of the socializing that's happening, and I think that's really important in social. A lot of times when you see companies fail spectacularly in social, it's often because they just sort of go, whoa, 500 million people on Facebook, sweet, I want to talk to them. And they're not thinking about really what those people are there for.
The story that you want to tell, you should be mindful of. That being said, so my point to this person was, if I vomit every detail of my life on Twitter or on Facebook, I'm going to be off-putting. Even to those people that truly love me, right? Probably more so than that, so they have to watch it and whatever. So I think it is important not necessarily to be strategic or have a goal in mind, but to be thoughtful and to talk to children, like talk to our children about being thoughtful and mindful of the story that they're telling over time. And I think those are things that are foreign to us, especially since we still leave technology to our kids. So we believe because they're digital natives, they just grow up knowing how to behave there, and they don't. And so I think there's nothing wrong with being thoughtful about the story you're telling. And I think that what you're talking about is list management more than anything.
And I think too, if it's something that you would not stand up and say in front of this room of people, it's not something that you should post online, no matter how good your list management is, no matter how private you think the network is. The internet is forever, and it's never, ever as private as you think, ever. So if it's something that you would only tell somebody over a telephone call, then call somebody. Because really, no matter how well you think you've got it all figured out, it guaranteed somebody will see it that you didn't want to see it. And on Facebook, you are yourself. You are a real person. And on MySpace, I don't know, everybody looks like a 13-year-old girl, and clearly half of them were like 60-year-old guys. So nobody was really their real self. And so there was no investment in the relationships and interactions because so much of it was fake. Whereas on Facebook, aside from sort of, the facade we all put on, it's generally real. It's your real name, it's your real photo, and so the guidelines for behavior are a little different.
So everybody in this room, I would imagine, is on LinkedIn, right? You're all there, right? And LinkedIn is essentially a portable contacts database, but aside from that, it's trying to be Facebook. Have you seen it happening? So over time, all these little modules and plugins and added functionality is really trying to act like Facebook, because what do we have on Facebook that we don't have on LinkedIn? A little bit of humanity, which is the stuff that really appeals to us. That's the sticky. The stuff that we all have in common, that's what keeps us coming back. So LinkedIn is trying to get, now what LinkedIn has that Facebook doesn't have is that really creepy people you should know thing. Have you wondered about that thing? Right? Like seriously, like people that aren't even on there, that they have no way of even knowing, like my dead grandma, they suggested I should probably know her. I mean, it's really creepy, but that's what they have that Facebook doesn't have. And I think it sort of keeps them coming back because you can actually build a greater professional database just by using the tools that they recommend for you. Like we expect things to be tailored for us. We don't like to be inconvenienced. And some of this information is a little bit of an inconvenience, but you have to kind of work for the value. And that's okay if you can find value in it.
So, highly recommend this book, especially if you are interested in how social is changing, how we interact with each other, and how we sort of organize as groups. It's a very fast read and really entertaining.